Hello, this is Rabbi Dr. Juan Marcos Rojano Gutierrez, and today we're continuing our trek through the Tanakh, through the Hebrew Bible, and its description of Sheol, the abode of the dead, or the netherworld. And today we're going to look at two slides. In many ways, they're complementary to each other, or the polar opposites, I should say, because in this slide we get the sense that the dead are hidden in Sheol. They do not feel, they don't understand anything, and as we might expect. In the subsequent slide that we'll look at, we'll actually see that there's a different view of the dead and how they apparently, at least some of them, do have some sense of what is transpiring in this world. So the first thing that we sort of come across is the idea that the dead merely exist without knowledge or feeling. And we see this in Job indirectly when we look at chapter 14, verse 13, and we read, Mi yiten bish'ol tatzpineni, tastireni ad shuv apecha, tashit lichok betiz kareni. Oh, that thou wouldst hidest me in the netherworld, that thou would keep me secret until thy wrath be past, that thou would appointest me a set time and remember me. Now, this passage doesn't directly tell us that the dead don't have any sense or feeling, but the idea of being hidden, I think, is important because it basically says they're out of this normal existence, which makes sense, but they're sort of away from the ways of the world, the things that happen. In Ecclesiastes, in Kohelet 9:5, we read, Ki hachaim yodeim sheyamutu v'chametim ena yodeim me'uma ve'en od lachem sachar ki nishkach zichram. And here it's clear, for the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything. Neither have they any more a reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. So we read here, V'chametim enam yodeim me'uma. So the dead know nothing. They're unaware of the things that happen, whether in this world or in the place in which they reside. But if we look at different passages of Scripture, then what we find is something very interesting. And if we look at, for example, Isaiah 14:9 and 10, the dwellers in Sheol rejoice at the downfall of the enemy. We read, Sheol mitachat ragza lecha likrat boecha orel lecha refaim kol atude aretz chekim miski otam kol malche goyim. The netherworld, Sheol, from beneath, mitachat, so we have again this image of it being below the earth, is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. And what does it say? The shades are stirred up for thee. We looked at this previously, but it's also important for this application, this idea, orel lecha refaim. So the shades represent the spirits or the souls, however we want to understand that, of those who have passed. So they're stirred up for thee, even unto all the chief ones of the earth, and all the kings of the nations are raised upon their thrones. And then we read, Kulam ya'anu v'yameru elecha gamata huleta chamonu elenu nim shalta. All they do answer and say unto thee, Are thou also become weak as we? Are thou become like unto us? So here, there are kings of, there are people that are being sent down to Sheol, and the people that are there are effectively greeting the people, and they're asking them, are you going to become weak like us? So there's this sort of contradiction, right? On the one hand, the dead do not know, but at the same time, they know that someone is coming. And so it's an interesting idea that we have here presented. Again, is this to be taken literally? That's not really the case. That's not really the concern that I have. It's to look at the passages as we find them and to understand that the biblical tradition has a much more complex understanding of Sheol, or the afterlife at this particular stage, than we often assume. So that really is the goal here. So on the one hand, the dead don't know, and on the other hand, the dead seem to experience something, and they are aware of at least certain things that happen.